Hello, I'm John Eldredge, and welcome to the Ransomed Heart audio podcast. For more information on Ransomed Heart Ministries, our resources and events, please visit us online at www.ransomedheart.com.
Welcome to the Ransomed Heart podcast. My name is Craig McConnell, and it's great to introduce a three-part series we're going to begin today. What the series is Bart Hansen, Morgan Snyder, John Eldredge, and myself went into the studio and we recorded conversations about topics that we cover at boot camp. And our conversation is actually going to be a piece of a resource that we release this next spring. We'll tell you all about it when it's ready. Called the Wild at Heart Boot Camp Platinum Collection. It'll be some teaching and conversations, and what we've done is just taken an excerpt from some pretty rich conversation. We want to play it for you today. The first conversation we're going to share with you is on the larger story. Enjoy it.
React to the larger story. Mm-hmm. Just react.
Yeah, I think whenever I hear that session, I'm usually sitting back in the sound booth, and it's probably one of the most refreshing and always feels like the newest talk. It kind of catches me off guard. It's kind of like going up to the mountains after being away a season. You're just kind of surprised by the beauty you've always enjoyed, but you've forgotten.
Yep.
So, my first reaction is I love it because it just redefines and it feels fresh, true, and new to me every time I hear it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what does that do for your heart?
Oh, immediate hope, joy, hope. There's something about the larger story that's, while it helps me understand the story I'm living in context, it fills me with joy and hope. Hope for myself and what I'm a part of and where this is going. I think joy and hope.
Mm. React. What does it do for you?
John, there's something that's deep in my heart that resonates that it's true. And very quickly after that, I realized how little of that story I find myself living in most days. And I think of that heroic fellowship and how often I interpret my life as being alone. Mm-hmm. And then Act 2 and this war and the supernatural reality and how often I live my life on purely a human level. And there's something about heaven when you frame that I realize how little my operating worldview on any given day lacks the rest of the story, the conclusion of the story. So I think there's something, Craig, as you said, that resonates with this deep hope, this anticipation of good things, and yet it's pretty convicting of how little I hold on to it on any given day.
John, every time I hear that session, I just feel refreshed. I feel rejuvenated because I feel like that it kind of makes sense of that I am involved in something that's going on around me, that I just don't live in an insignificant world full of insignificant small stories that have no connection.
Right.
It connects so much, that there is this desire to live in this grand fellowship, and that there is a villain in the story, and that there is a hero that's come to rescue us, and that God is about restoring what he originally intended before the whole thing went awry, and that we live in that. It really helps to make sense of life.
Yeah, that's huge.
As you're talking, Bart, the word clarity just comes to mind. It's like everything clears, and there's just this refreshing clarity, and it feels like somewhere inside you going, oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interpretation. That's what it does for me, interpretation. I have all of these random events in my life and in the lives of the people that I love and care about, and they need interpretation, both the great stuff and the tragic things as well, the mundane, the war, all of it. It needs interpretation. And that's what the larger story does for me. I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, I think I just need to wake up to this every morning. Like, I don't know if I can set my alarm clock to play this, but you wake up to a reminder that, Act 3, you are in the invasion of the kingdom. Act 4 is coming.
Right.
I found myself the other day with this, trying to wonder what to do with this incredible longing in me that nothing seems to satisfy. That was my dilemma the other day. And as men, we take it to Eve. We start thinking it's the beauty that's going to do it, or we'll do even stupider things. We'll take it to food. We'll take it to whatever, just give me some relief of this what is this ache? And it was just it was like an epiphany. It was like I realized it for the first time, though I've heard this talk 100 times. I've given it 100 times. To realize, I'm longing for heaven.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what this is.
Right.
The interpretation of the moment rescued me from doing something pretty stupid. Giving my heart away to some idol or another or some fallen goddess and realizing, it's heaven that I'm longing for. Of course I have these longings that nothing in this world can satisfy. So, interpretation.
Yes.
John, say more about that when your day is the car doesn't run, there's an unexpected bill, and the kids are acting up. How does the larger story help you interpret just kind of the mundane reality up and downs of life?
Well, first off, we just accept that as reality, that the car just broke down on me and I just got a, overdrawn notice on my checking account, for the third time this month and I want to get mad at somebody for that. And, we simply accept that as reality and it destroys us rather than saying this is a lie. This is presenting itself to me as ultimate reality, but it's not. It's not. And the enemy would love nothing more than to reduce us to fragments, bits and pieces, meaninglessness. For me, it's to have a larger story. Oh, my gosh, it shows me when to fight. It shows me when to just let it go. It's not a big deal, right? You don't make mountains out of molehills anymore. It is a total reorientation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Where it helps me with that, John, is it just removes the issue of random and chaos. I mean, there's the larger story eliminates some of the interpretations I can have on life. That's chaotic. It's
meaningless.
Random. Yeah. Somewhere in here is God or the enemy, something mysteriously redemptive or disruptive for repentance. There's something in this, though I may not see it.
Yes.
I think for me, not only does it give me a reorientation, which is absolutely essential, like you said, John, but it gives me a context. I remember the first time I heard this larger story about 13 years ago, my reaction was, I'm not the center of the story. I realized when I became a believer, all I did was replace a worldview of life is about me to now life is about me living for God. And it was a Christianity that I was at the center. But there's just something absolutely freeing to know there is a larger reality of which God is orchestrating this story, that I am not the center. And it's actually freeing, and it helps me with the interpretation to know there's more going on than I realize. But there's just a release, and it really has that reorientation and that context has shifted the way I live profoundly.
You're not the center anymore.
Right.
John, somewhere in your talk you make the statement in the beginning, and then you kind of tease the audience a little bit by saying, I know where you're going, Genesis 1. And I think the larger story really has helped me in my Christian walk to gain so much of the story that's been lost by Christianity. Because not only has it made sense out of the Old and the New Testament, the Old Testament is the story of God looking for his intimate allies, and the New Testament is Jesus coming for us in the rescue. But But I think what it's done in that, where you take it way back in the beginning in John 1, is that gives me the context of the history of warfare, of where the warfare, the genesis of the warfare, where the warfare came from in the first place. The fallen angels, the battle, the war that was raging in heaven before the ages, that was the history of the warfare. That really helps me a lot put all of this together in the story that we do live.
You know, as we're talking, I'm realizing it is a rescue of the gospel for me and a rescue of Christianity.
Yes.
I mean, frankly, that's what it is. You know, boot camp's about a lot of things, and we're trying to restore a man's heart and get him back in the battle and teach him how to fight. But behind that, and bigger than that, it's a rescue of Christianity. You know, the gospel's just been reduced to such ridiculously small things, you know. The church's, you know, fundraising program or the church's latest evangelism program or whatever, you know, we live in these small little things and it's absolutely killing us. It's not a story worth living in, you know, but you want to be a Christian so you don't want to bail on it, but you just, you know, almost cannot stand it. I was trying to explain this yesterday to Luke. I was talking about, we really love burritos. You know, and you can get a burrito at the gas station convenience store. They do carry burritos there.
They're not bad either.
But it's a burrito, kind of. And I was trying to say that's like what most people experience as the gospel. It's the gospel, kind of. It's a gas station burrito. You know, it's like, you can kind of taste a little something in that, and if you dump enough hot sauce on it, it's okay, but
cheese in a can.
It isn't anything like what it was meant to be. Right? And it's like a rescue for me of Christianity. That's what this is for me.
Yes.
So here's what I'm curious about. Bart, Craig, especially you guys, you lived for years as a believer, as a good man, doing ministry without the larger story. So contrast that. What was it like?
Yeah. Well, as a pastor going to seminary, I never heard anything similar to the larger story at all. I mean, if you don't have a story, the story of God, the story that God is writing, you're left with just propositions. I mean, what I offered to people was be good, love God, don't divorce your wife, don't be angry. And it was just a zillion little propositions with no connection. And actually, not a whole lot of God, because they were just propositions that kind of stood alone by themselves. The romance, the pursuit of God after me was absent.
Right. Same thing, Craig. I mean, I just go to all of these small themes of propositional truth in the Bible, like duty, obligation, you know, morality, right doctrine, all of those things. And, you know, you just kind of move from one thing to the next, and it's never brought together in a story, and it doesn't really reveal the heart of God. I think this helps me to see the heart of God, that God is very intentional about what he's doing in this story that's unfolding. And the whole purpose of the story is love. It's love. And I think I've lost that, or I had lost that, the sight of just how God loves us, how he's coming for us, how he's wanting to restore us, and we live in this incredible battle, this epic battle, that what is at stake is the deep life of our hearts.
And Bart, you know, you talk about the love or the life of God. Without a story, that's just a proposition.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
The story is the unfolding and the evidence and the movement of God's heart that you can see. It just captures you.
Right.
That was just a taste of a lengthy conversation we had, and we hope that was encouraging to you. I know it serves as a bit of a teaser, and there's part of me that hates doing that, but we want to get some of this out soon and let you enjoy it and hope it encourages your heart. Hope you join us next week on the Ransomed Heart podcast. And, of course, as always, you can get more information about Ransomed Heart and the resources at ransomedheart.com.